It's been a while since I have done a YouTube video. And I don't even know what I'm going to say or talk about. I just know I'm not the only Leo enduring these big emotions. Granted, lately I have been very, emotional. And I feel like I am purging. And I feel like there's certain situations and people that are helping catapult me into tapping into that unhealed emotion. And I'm trying to look at everything in a higher perspective by removing the people or person who is triggering that emotion within me. And I'm finding myself fixating on that person rather than the part of me that knows that I need to heal that aspect of myself. And I know I'm not the only one who struggles with that. And I think that is a lot of times I feel like we literally set ourselves up for disappointment when we fixate on potential. And sometimes potential doesn't even look like something that the person is actively showing you, but rather you seeing the potential and what you guys could have or succeed together solely based on what they shown you and what you see within yourself that you can see that will help contribute and grow within a relationship. And I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm finding myself struggling with that. And I feel like, I know I'm not the only one who does this. I know I'm not. Because if I am, then whew, I really need to do some severe damage control. But it's just a matter of like, what is that? Like, is that a woman thing? Is that a Leo thing? Is that a, and I find myself right now at this point, and I know that they say that there's a massive change going on with specific zodiac signs, but I feel like there's a massive change in general, especially what people are just experiencing in their life and what they're tired of and what they want to release themselves from. And I'm finding myself being like, I need to release myself from this because it's almost like I'm putting myself in agony, but rather I'm putting myself in agony because I'm thinking about the person rather than the healing that comes with being catapulted back into this emotion that needs to be addressed because it is something that has been occurring for so long. And I really am at a point where I'm about to be like, I feel like I have to be selfish. I feel like those who struggle with this have to be selfish, have to fixate more on the areas and things that the person isn't showing you, the things that you refuse to see rather than the things that you can see within a connection with someone, because it literally will lead you to disappointment. And I know I'm not the only one who does that, but it's like, what is that? Where does that stem from? Like, why? And it's funny because I've always been the type of person, not always, but between 2020 and I have been that person who would see the dark in people, who would see the negative, who would be like, I don't even want to talk to you because it was, and granted, I have the scare, there's so many things negative and dark about me, but I would reserve even communicating and like having conversations with people because I could see it and I felt like I needed to protect myself from it. But then I've come to term recently, like, yeah, I could do that with platonic connections and like people. And I could do that with people who I would not necessarily have that like onset intellectual or like physical attraction with. But the moment that I see a connection, I'm all like, oh, rainbows and butterflies, and it's just like, no. What am I doing? And I feel like for those who struggle with it, and I'm only sharing, I'm still working with it, I'm still dealing with it, I'm still processing those emotions as they surface and actually feeling them, allowing myself to feel it. And I'm like, this is exhausting. Like, and I think I'm sharing to say that I feel like those who struggle with that are going to be going into a different route where people will make it seem like you are like, o come mierda, or you think you're better than everybody, or like all of these like more heavier things about people who are struggling with that, because you're just learning to put yourself on that pedestal. You're learning to know the potential that you have to offer within the connection, and you're not going to fixate on those things that you see within the other person, because you know that they might not meet those expectations of potentiality. I don't even know if that's the word. I'll Google that for this. But like within a person, like you don't even know if they're gonna meet those expectations with as a person, as someone that you could potentially grow with, and it just leads to disappointment. So I feel like for those who know what I'm talking about, you're putting yourself on a pedestal because you know what it is that you have to offer. You know that you're not basing it off of potential, what you could, it's like what you know you offer. And I am excited to see where those who are experiencing the same thing kind of grow in and feel and process, and like how they channel this new energy. I'm excited to kind of go through it on my own, because I have like a tendency of doing that. It's just like, no, I'm not going to necessarily fixate on the shadow or the darker aspects of them, but rather putting myself on that pedestal and knowing what it is that I have to offer. And people think when you like off, what do you have to offer? It always has to be financially, and that's not the case. So if it resonates, it resonates. I just felt like I had to share that message. And I'm sitting here mocosa because I'm like, damn, you know, sometimes sitting with your energy and actually feeling it can get a little tough and be like, damn, you know, you know. And I'm learning not to rationalize my emotions and try to allow myself to have a safe space to feel them and allow them to flow and allow it to grow and allow me to heal. And I definitely feel like I know I'm definitely not the only one who, you know, experienced that, but I also want to share that. Not only do I'm calling that within me, but I'm also seeing that. I'm seeing that those who really struggle with this are and will be putting themselves on a fucking pedestal, and people will be like, oh, you think you just shit? And it's just like, well, you know what? I do. Yeah. I do. Here's to us.